Hi, welcome back. In today's lesson, we'll be solving quadratic equations using the quadratic formula. The standard form of our quadratic equation is ax squared plus bx plus c. And our quadratic equation has to be in that form before we use the quadratic formula, which is x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. For example, in the equation 3x squared minus 5x plus 16, 3 would be a, negative 5 would be b, and 16 would be c. So why do we have to learn the quadratic formula if we know how to factor? Well, that's because not all equations are factorable, and you can't always use the square roots method. But the quadratic formula always works, and on some questions they ask you to use it. We're being asked to solve the equation x squared plus 12x plus 27 using the quadratic formula. A is equal to 1, b is equal to 12, and c is equal to 27. In reference to the quadratic formula, whenever we see a, we're going to replace that with 1. Whenever we see b, we're going to replace it with 12. And whenever we see c, we're going to replace it with 27. When we do that, we get x is equal to negative 12 plus or minus the square root of 12 squared minus 4 times 1 times 27, and all of that over 2 times 1. Since 12 squared is 144, and negative 4 times 1 times 27 is negative 108, and 2 times 1 is 2, we rewrite it and get negative 12 plus or minus the square root of 144 minus 108 all over 2. So at this point, we subtract 144 from 108 and get 36. Then we find the square root of 36, which is 6, and then we rewrite it. Now, since we have our plus or minus, we want to split our equation into negative 12 plus 6 over 2 and negative 12 minus 6 over 2. For our first mini equation, we get negative 6 divided by positive 2, which simplifies to negative 3. For our second mini equation, we get negative 18 over 2, and that simplifies to negative 9. Since this is a quadratic equation, we get two zeros or solutions, and they are negative 3 and negative 9. We're being asked to solve 2x squared plus 6x is equal to 7 using the quadratic formula. But this equation isn't in standard form. We know that a is equal to 2, b is equal to 6, but since all of the terms are not on one side of the equation, we don't know what c is equal to. So to find out c, we have to subtract 7 from both sides. When we do that, we get 2x squared plus 6x minus 7. So we know that c is equal to negative 7. So now it's time to use the quadratic formula. What we're going to do is we're going to replace a, b, and c with positive 2, positive 6, and negative 7. When we do that, we get x is equal to negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 6 squared minus 4 times 2 times negative 7, and all of that over 2 times 2. So now we're just going to simplify. And while simplifying, you want to keep P.E.M.D.A.S, or please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, in mind. To find the square root of 92, we have to find the highest perfect square that goes into it, because we know 92 is not a perfect square. The highest square that goes into 92 is 4, and 4 times 23 is equal to 92. Since the square root of 4 is 2, we take 2 outside and leave 23 underneath the square root sign. Then we divide the whole thing by 4, and for our final answer we get negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 23 divided by 2. Thanks so much for watching, and remember to like, comment, and subscribe. See you next time!